Hello, and welcome to the ultimate guide for SOLIDWORKS eDrawings. Whether you're just now hearing about eDrawings for the very first time, or you've already become a regular user, this video will cover all the basics from the download and installation of the free eDrawings viewer, to the capabilities when viewing and working with files, and even the major differences between the free eDrawings viewer and the paid version eDrawings Professional, so stick around. If you've already downloaded the eDrawings viewer, feel free to skip ahead to learn more about how to use it. For those who don't know, eDrawings is a program that allows you to view, interact with, and mark up many different 2D and 3D file types, and not just SOLIDWORKS files. Those SOLIDWORKS files are of course supported. With eDrawings, you can open many proprietary file types and neutral format CAD files, including Inventor, CATIA, ProE, IGES, STEP, DWG, and many more. Not only can you view and mark up these files for collaboration, you can also move assembly components and view exploded configurations, watch animations, check file properties, take measurements, view simulation results, and much more. Even if you're primarily a SOLIDWORKS user, eDrawings is a great tool to have on hand in order to share your documents with non-SOLIDWORKS users in a lightweight file format. And again, all of this is free. So let's first take a look at how to download and install your copy of eDrawings. First, to download the free eDrawings viewer for desktop, simply visit eDrawingsviewer.com on a web browser and click the download button. When prompted to select a program, choose the eDrawings viewer button for either Windows or Mac, depending on your system. You'll be taken to a page on the SOLIDWORKS website where you can select to download the eDrawings viewer and optionally publish your add-ins for common CAD systems so that eDrawings files may be published from within them. Finally, you're given the option to include SOLIDWORKS shaders data as part of your download. This certainly isn't required, but can make your appearances within eDrawings look quite a bit nicer if you're concerned with that. Finally, confirm and accept the license agreement and allow the installer to finish downloading. You may consider reading the eDrawings installation guide while waiting for the download to complete. Once it's done, run the installer to begin the installation process. As you work your way through the eDrawings installer, you can expect to be prompted for a license key, but don't worry. The free version of eDrawings does not require a license key or a network license server, so just leave both of these fields blank and click Next. You'll still be able to use the program and have plenty of capability. Follow the rest of the installation prompts as required, restart your computer if necessary, and eDrawings should be ready to go. Now that you have eDrawings installed, what can you do with it? Let's start by opening an assembly. You'll notice when I use the Open command that only eDrawings files are showing, but I can open native SOLIDWORKS files in plenty of other formats by changing the file filter in the dialog. Upon opening the file, you may be prompted to download the SOLIDWORKS Document Manager in order to use custom properties and display tables properly. We'd highly recommend doing this for the best experience with eDrawings. Simply click on the blue link to download the Document Manager, run the downloaded files, and follow the installation wizard. After that's complete, return to eDrawings, click OK, and you should have full eDrawings viewer functionality without installing SOLIDWORKS. Now that the assembly is open, let's take a look at the user interface. First, we have the standard toolbar, containing the File drop-down menu for opening and saving documents, along with the View and Tools drop-downs, which allow you to interact with your documents and change the way they appear on screen. The commands in the View and Tools drop-downs are also available in other areas of the interface. Finally, the Help drop-down is great for learning more about the software and answering any of your questions. The toolbar at the top of the graphics area contains almost all of the commands found in the View toolbar. These can be enabled to pan, rotate, or zoom the document in a few different ways, although this is more commonly done with mouse inputs. Center-click the mouse and drag to rotate the model, center-click while holding Control to pan, and scroll the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Additionally, in this toolbar, you'll find options to enable perspective or ambient occlusion for improved realism in lighting and shadows, along with all the standard orthographic view orientations, an isometric orientation, and a normal to selection command. The normal to selection command only works if a planar face has already been selected. Finally, we have options for controlling the display style of the model. Here you can choose to view your models in various shaded, silhouette, and wireframe modes. Moving on to the lower toolbar, you'll notice a reset command. This is great for returning to the original display style and orientation of the model if anything has been changed. The Animate command will cycle through all the standard views to give you a clear understanding of the model, and the Explode command will automate an exploded view of the assembly, although you'll notice it's not very precise because SOLIDWORKS files are not loaded with exploded configuration information. More on that in a bit. Next, we have the Move command, which works exceptionally well because assembly files in eDrawings are not constrained by mates like they typically would be in SOLIDWORKS. This means you can move components wherever you please, and the specialized movement tools allow you to input specific coordinates, increment the position and rotation by a defined amount, or use the movement triad for freeform movement. When you're finished, simply click Reset to return all the components back to their original positions. The Measure command allows you to take basic measurements, including normal distance, diameter, angle, and many others. Settings are also available to adjust how arc and circle distances are measured, and if you have any difficulty selecting what you mean to select, I highly recommend using the available selection filters at the bottom of this dialog. If you found that the Measure tool is unavailable to you, you'll need to get in contact with the original author of the document, as Allow Measurement may have been disabled in their system settings. The Section tool is great for viewing the inside of a model, providing a cutaway for any components which may be obstructing your view. You can choose between standard XY, YZ, and ZX plane orientations, and while it may be difficult to notice, you can actually click and drag any of these planes to adjust the position. You can also select a planar face of your choice and use that as the cutting plane. There are also options to adjust the camera view normal to the cutting plane, flip the side of the model that is being cut away, and turn the visibility of the cutting plane on or off. Finally, you can toggle the visibility of a cap, which prevents your solid models from appearing as surfaces within a section view. Our final command on the left side of the toolbar is Stamps, which allow you to permanently mark your eDrawings file and improve your document management. You can even create and use your own custom stamps if you prefer. Moving to the right side of the toolbar, we have Properties. These will show any custom or configuration-specific file properties that were added to the original SOLIDWORKS file. If nothing displays here, it may simply mean that the author of the original files did not include any file properties. However, if you don't see the Properties command on the toolbar, it could mean one of two things. First, ensure that you've installed the SOLIDWORKS Document Manager described earlier, or properties will not be available. If you still don't see the option for properties, it's likely that the original author did not set the proper options when publishing the document for you to be able to see them. We'll discuss this a bit later. Next, we have the crown jewel of eDrawings, the Markup command. This tool allows you to add your input, suggest changes, and make comments to collaborate more effectively. Click the first icon to add a new comment, and then add the comment text in the description. You can also click on existing comments and use the second icon to reply to them to correspond back and forth, and commenter names are logged to track who said what. Comments can also be deleted by selecting them and clicking the trash can icon. Additional markup tools are available at the bottom of this dialog, starting with labels. These include text with or without leaders, revision clouds with or without leaders, and a cloud with text. All of these labels can be modified by simply clicking on them, then clicking and dragging to reposition, double-clicking to edit text, or using the yellow graphical handles to resize or reposition as required. Second, we have shapes, which operate very similarly to labels and include lines, rectangles, circles, arcs, and splines. Dimensions are also available and utilize the same tools as the Measure command. The resulting value of the dimension can also be overwritten to recommend a change. The last available annotation tool allows you to add an image to the document. Simply select the image you'd like to add from Windows Explorer, and it will be imported to the document. It's important to keep in mind that all of these annotations are stored within comments. So if you happen to find all of your markups have suddenly disappeared, don't worry. It's likely that the comment has simply been deselected, and reselecting it should reveal them once again. If you don't see the markups that you expect, they may be stored in a different comment. At the top right of this dialog, we have the Save Disk icon, which allows us to save these markups. This is an important detail because while markups are automatically saved within eDrawings documents, this tool allows them to be saved separately from the eDrawing and then imported to SOLIDWORKS for maximum collaboration potential. Finally, markup options allow you to control the name, colors, font style, and several other details that will be applied to your markups. Moving on to 3D views, this is a command that many of you will likely not see in the interface. This is because in order to see 3D views, they must have been created in the original SOLIDWORKS document, and this process requires the MBD add-in for SOLIDWORKS. If you do have access to 3D views, the icons can be clicked to quickly toggle between various saved camera positions and model configurations or display states. But do note that configurations and display states are not supported when viewing a native SOLIDWORKS file in eDrawings. Like 3D views, annotations is another command that you may not see. And again, this is typically due to the original author of the CAD document simply not creating any annotation views. If they did, however, you can use this command to toggle the visibility of annotations and better understand the product manufacturing information associated with the model. If you ever find yourself struggling to hide annotations, consider disabling the All Annotations option in the View drop-down menu. Next, we have configurations, but these aren't supported when opening SOLIDWORKS files directly. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Finally, the Components command allows you to view the component tree of your assembly, much like the Feature Manager design tree within SOLIDWORKS. Right-clicking any of these components provides a variety of tools, from hiding or isolating a component to completely separating it into a new eDrawings document, which can then be saved independently. You can also turn on the Hide Show and Transparent Solid commands at the bottom of this interface to apply changes by graphical selection if preferred, and you can search for components using the text filter at the top. Just a couple more things before we move on. You've probably noticed this big watermark notifying me that my document might be out of date. That's because this is a native SOLIDWORKS assembly with many references that may have changed since we've had this document open. While it's a good reminder, you can turn this off if you prefer by right-clicking anywhere in the background and selecting View, then deselecting the option for Watermark. Finally, we have to talk about the Options dialog. Here you'll find general settings for colors, lighting, and shadows, and a handful of others. There are additional tabs to control markup, simulation, and import options for you to explore as well. Next up, let's take a brief look at a SOLIDWORKS drawing in eDrawings. You'll find that the available tools here are very similar, and for the most part work exactly the same as in Assemblies and in Parts. However, we do have two new commands, Layers and Sheets. These two commands are useful if additional layers and sheets were created in the SOLIDWORKS drawing and help to toggle the visibility of drawing information and navigate between sheets. One other unique capability of eDrawings is the ability to rotate drawing views in 3D. Simply right-click a drawing view, access View, and then click Rotate. You can even move components individually while in this mode. Simply click the Reset button when you're ready to return to the drawing. It's important to note, though, that this capability only applies to independent views, meaning that projected views, sections, details, and model break views cannot be rotated. DWG and DXF files are also supported in eDrawings and offer nearly the same capability, although it is not possible to move components and file properties are not supported. eDrawings supports many different file types, including both neutral and proprietary formats. You can check to see if your file type is supported by simply going to Open a File and checking the File Filter drop-down list. Do note, however, that the eDrawings capabilities will likely differ from format to format. Here's an example of a step format version of our lens part being opened in eDrawings. Taking a look at our original assembly once again, it's important to note that while we've seen quite a bit of capability already, there are some significant limitations here. As we've already seen, the available animations are very basic, the explode command is not particularly accurate, and only one configuration and display state combination is available. In order to leverage the true potential of eDrawings, the original author of the SOLIDWORKS document simply needs to include these items in a published eDrawings file. Here's my original assembly in SOLIDWORKS containing several configurations, 2 display states, an exploded view, an animation, and even a strength simulation. This is all very important information, and to make it available, I'll simply use the Save command drop-down and choose to Publish to eDrawings. Selecting the left-hand checkbox for each configuration will make them available, and the right-hand checkbox will optionally publish a step file along with the eDrawing, creating an Attachments command in the lower toolbar of the resulting document and allowing the step file to be viewed or even extracted. This interface is known as the eDrawings Publisher and is actually available for many other CAD systems outside of just SOLIDWORKS. The different versions can be found on the eDrawings download website described at the beginning of this video. Options are critically important here. This is where the measurement and file properties tools are enabled for the end user of the eDrawings document, along with animations and a handful of other options. If these are not set properly, the tools and information will not be available. Once the options are set, the eDrawing can be published and will offer significantly more capability to the end user compared to a native SOLIDWORKS file. Here's an example of the exact same blinker assembly we saw earlier, only this time it was published as an eDrawing file. You'll notice how I now have access to a simple animation that I created along with a much cleaner exploded view. You'll also find that the Configurations tab contains all 4 configurations and 2 display states, which can easily be toggled. This also significantly improves the functionality of 3D views, since those typically rely heavily on combinations of both configurations and display states. Lastly, you'll find a brand new tool to investigate the mass properties of this assembly, which is originally unavailable. But what about our strength simulation? Simulation results can be published to eDrawings as well, and like configurations and animations, they must be published from within SOLIDWORKS. However, the process is a little bit different. Once you've completed a simulation study and created any required plots, right-click on the results folder and choose Save All Plots as eDrawings. This will create a single eDrawing file that contains all the simulation results. Opening this file, you'll notice a new set of studies tools in the bottom toolbar, allowing us to choose which study and result plot we'd like to view and toggle the visibility of the mesh used in the analysis. We can also toggle the visibility of the legend and the title information if we wish. Finally, simulation options are pretty important as well. Keep in mind that what we're really viewing here is only a simulation results file in eDrawings format. If you'd like to combine this simulation information with all the other eDrawings data we have, like the configurations, the 3D views, and annotations, turn on the option to automatically open simulation files, and make sure that the eDrawing containing the simulation results has the same name as the part or assembly drawing, in this case, the blinker assembly, and also ensure that it's in the same folder. Once you've done this, reload the original eDrawing if necessary, and you should now have access to all of your simulation data alongside everything else. Finally, consider using the second simulation option to save those loaded simulation results with the original eDrawings file to minimize your file management work. At this point, we've covered just about everything that's possible with the free eDrawings viewer, from opening parts, assemblies, and drawings of all kinds, to measurement, markup, and even producing eDrawings files from within SOLIDWORKS to maximize collaboration. But as you may have heard, a professional version of eDrawings exists as well. With 2 major benefits, eDrawings Professional can significantly improve the simplicity and the clarity of your communications. First, eDrawings Professional introduces the ability to export web HTML files, which can be hosted on your network or online and viewed by anyone with an internet browser. No installation required, no ActiveX, not even the eDrawings viewer. Web HTML files have nearly the same functionality as eDrawings, but don't support stored animations or 3D views or simulation data or exploded configurations or markup. So there are a few limitations. Explode tools are available, but for precision, it might be worth manually creating a top-level exploded configuration. And ultimately, web HTML can be an excellent way to represent online parts catalogs or inventory, or just to communicate your designs in the simplest way possible. The second and most entertaining aspect of eDrawings Professional is virtual reality, or VR. This capability allows you to explore your models at a one-to-one scale in a virtual environment, and while for many this capability may simply be entertaining, it's currently being used in some industries to supplement or replace assembly and maintenance training that would otherwise be very expensive or potentially dangerous. eDrawings VR requires specific hardware and software, including Windows 10, the Steam VR application, and a suitable graphics card. But consider taking a look at the available help documentation for eDrawings to learn more about setting up your PC to view documents in virtual reality. Finally, you may also be aware that Windows Desktop is not the only version of eDrawings that is available. eDrawings Viewer is also supported for Mac, although no professional version is available, and there are a couple minor limitations specifically with respect to the eDrawings API and file properties. Mobile versions of eDrawings, including Professional, are available for both iOS and for Android. These do come with a small price tag, though, at $199 USD for the viewer and $9.99 for Professional. While there are quite a few limitations in the viewer version of the mobile app, the Professional version comes very close to matching the capability of desktop, allowing you to measure, section, markup, view configurations and animations, and more, all on the go. The mobile version also includes support for augmented reality to more effectively visualize your designs in the real-world environment, and this is a feature that's actually unavailable in the desktop versions. So there you have it, the ultimate guide for eDrawings. In this video, we covered download and installation, tools and techniques, publishing eDrawings from SOLIDWORKS, and the differences between the various versions of the software. I think that's just about everything, but if I missed anything at all, please be sure to let me know. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you're interested in upgrading to eDrawings Professional, or if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us here at Hawkridge Systems.